Well, hello and welcome to the Roland's Reviews YouTube channel. So glad to have you here with us again. If you will please kindly do me one small favor, hit that little thumb. That is the like button so that we can trigger the YouTube algorithm so that we can share this video out with as many people as possible. Now, look at the title of today's video. Democratic strategists gave VP Kamala Harris a failed campaign strategy that was meant for Biden. Now, we all know, if you've been here on this channel for a while, we know why they lost. And they're still coming up with all kinds of excuses as to why they lost this race. And I just don't get it. They're just not understanding. There is no way that VP Harris was going to win this race. The economy is too bad, and the migrant situation with the illegals. This last voting cycle was definitely a referendum from the American people, but they still are playing games and they're stuck on stupid, I guess. So let's listen to what Roland Martin has to say. Of course, he's part of the Black Bullier, and we'll listen to what some of his guests are talking about.
Listen, I know, Lauren, again, a lot of people you were talking about earlier about, all these.
Let me answer this question for YouTube. I've seen none of them. Okay, there we go.
These Democrats, wow. You know what? I saw this one item, though. Tom Bonnier. Matter of fact, he just posted something about 30 minutes ago. He said, I know there were a lot of early give me one second. Let me go ahead and show y'all this here. He was saying, he said, I know there were a lot of early takes last week that the Dem base stayed home. But as the votes continue to be counted, we now know that Harris won more votes than Biden in 4 of 7 battlegrounds and ran almost exactly even with him across the 7 states. And you can actually see the numbers right there. So let me explain for people who don't quite understand what's going on here. And I've told y'all this here. I've said this to y'all repeatedly, that elections in America are driven by white people. In the last 2 elections, 70% of the electorate was white, which means, and I know we always say without black people, Democratic Party, I get all of that. But again, you got to deal with the reality of whiteness. And so I'm going to find another, I posted it earlier, what happened in Georgia. And they broke down the turnout in Georgia. So I'm just going to tell, here it is right here. Let me put it in our group me. Then I can pull it up on my iPad because I really want y'all to understand what happened here. And then when y'all keep hearing me talk about the numbers, and why we have to vote at 70% of our numbers, this next graphic is going to help you greatly understand what I'm talking about when we talk about the numbers that people don't get. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to pull it up for you. Here we go. All right. This was nope, not yet. Don't go to me yet. Here we go. Let me find it right here. Okay, this here dealt with. So Georgia is the first state to release full vote history for 2024. As a share of the citizen voting age population, turnout rates went up for all groups compared to 2020, except Black Georgians. So look at this data right here.
And I'll pause that so that you can digest what you are viewing. All right. And if you've been on this channel for a while, they're still giving excuses as to why they're lost, but all their excuses are they're inaccurate. Again, your candidate was not running on anything that most people could relate to. The kitchen table issues, The illegal situation where you flooded this country with millions and millions of people, sapping resources from American citizens who pay taxes. That's why you lost. All right. So I'll go ahead and start the video up again.
Okay. And the total turnout in Georgia was 65.9%. Look at these elections. 57.4, 52.7, 65.5, 50.7. So turnout in Georgia was higher in 2024 than it was during COVID. Look at that white number. During COVID, now I want you to look at those numbers. In the 2016 election, white turnout was 62.7%. In November 2020, white turnout went up almost 10 points to 72.1%. White turnout in November of this year was 74%. Now, let's look at Hispanic. Hispanic was 33.5 in 2016, was 38.6 in 2020. It jumps almost 4 points to 42.3% in 2024. But look at black. 2016, the black turnout was 53.3%. 4 years later, the black turnout went up almost 7 points to 60.2%. 4 years later, black turnout drops 2%. So we walk people through this. If you look at the black number alone, look at this black number alone. If black people in Georgia had voted at 70% of our turnout.
Are you tired of your YouTube channel?
Okay, let me get rid of this commercial. All right. And as you listen to Roland Martin, so I'm not sure where he got his statistics from, but I just wanted to share this video with you because this is what their pundits are discussing. Okay, here we go.
Dare say Harris wins the state.
Yep.
Now, I mean, the numbers are right here, y'all. It's right here. That's additional 12 points. That's additional 12 points. That is a significant number of votes. Now, I said the exact same thing. If black people vote at 70% of our numbers in Philadelphia, if we vote at 70% of our numbers in Detroit, if we vote at 70% of our numbers in Wisconsin, then Gary Chambers always talks about it, what's happening in Louisiana. Folks, this is across the country. And so a lot of folk don't understand this. And so I will say this, and let me be clear. The strategy that was given to Vice President Kamala Harris was stuck on stupid. Follow what I'm saying here. Listen to me very clearly. They handed Vice President Kamala Harris a campaign strategy that was the same as Joe Biden. That's Jen O'Malley Dillon. Anita Dunn got walked out. But that's pretty much what it was. This is what I have been long saying. If you don't spend your money on concerts in Atlanta and you put that money on the ground, I would love to look at a forensic analysis to say how much money was spent on concerts in Atlanta. I totally understand media attention. And let me be real clear. I am not chastising Meg Thee Stallion. I'm not chastising any of these different people. I'm speaking about how do you win? And I'm just going to tell y'all, because I've already said it before. But this is exactly what I said to the VP in November of 2023 when we had the dinner with her. And I've said it, y'all, numerous times, ever said to other people. This is what Roland Martin said. The Biden-Harris campaign from January to July should be in a massive education, enlightenment, informative stage. I said, I literally said, I said, y'all should be advertising enough with us to where we are in 6 to 8 cities a month, broadcasting town hall conversations, discussions with Black men, Black women, young folks. I wanted to do something with Pastor Jamal Bryant at his church, and I only wanted 35 and under in the audience. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about here. Now, all of a sudden, you're counting numbers. You're actually engaging in conversation, because what is it the research shows? People said, I ain't know. I didn't know. Now, the vice president did some of this, the opportunity tour, but what I'm talking about wasn't dealing with her. These should have been conversations that they were driving with Black city council members, Black county commissioners, Black state reps, Black state senators across the country. So imagine if you were organizing these discussions in all of these cities all across the country, and obviously in the 7 battleground states. Now, all of a sudden, you're spending 7 months educating, informing, and enlightening people on what actually happened. I said, then you go from July, August, September, you now are in a registration phase. Then when you get to September, October, you're now in a voter phase. That's literally how you win. It's literally how you engage. I totally understand. Everybody listen to what I'm about to say. I totally understand having an HBCU strategy. But HBCUs only have a total of 230,000 students, maybe 240,000. There are 1.6 million Black students at PWIs. So here's the question. What was your Black PWI strategy? I don't think somebody understands what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally, how do you engage and win? The numbers were there for Democrats to win.
The numbers were there, but again, you have a candidate, you ran a candidate who was unpopular. People did not like her. And newsflash, all of these people that Roland Martin is talking about, they should have targeted. These young people are on the internet all day, every day. They know everything they need to know about her. So all of these lies that the Democrats were spewing came back and caught up with them. So again, it didn't matter what she did. She was not going to win. And she had no policy. The only policy she was running on was the unaliving of children in the womb. People are hurting. People can't pay their rent. All of these other economic factors. So it didn't matter what you did. Okay, let me continue.
They were there. But what you cannot do is spend so much time on Liz Cheney and thinking you are going to get those Republicans because the numbers didn't lie. And all these other folk. And just, again, I appreciate all of the viral ads of the Lincoln Project. But have they actually moved 3% of Republicans away from Trump? Have any of those groups actually moved Republicans over? How much money was invested in them? How much money went to them? And I really want to know. I really want to know what's the total number that went to black groups? And I've seen some reports. The Reverend Sharpness National Action Network got 500,000. National Urban League got 2 million. All these different groups.
All of these people are paid actresses and actors, all bought and paid for, telling you and me who to vote for. They are millionaires as well as billionaires. I don't know about you. I never listen to millionaires and billionaires tell me who to vote for. They are not struggling economically the way the average American is struggling. I'll continue.
Oops. If I'm the campaign, I want to know what you did with it.
It's very easy to find that out.
No. No, not how much you got. Well, I said what you did with it. Because I'm talking about what you did with it. I'm saying
you can sell this $5.
All right, let me get rid of this commercial and then we'll continue.
I'm saying if I'm looking at how I spend money, I want to look at effectiveness for the next campaign.
Right. Well, so as you know, the FEC reports are being filed, right? So it's not hard to sort of go through the numbers and get a feel for where a lot of this money was spent. Obviously, $1 billion campaign that's only 107 days. But to the point that you made earlier, Roland, and happy birthday, by the way, about a plan of action that lasted, of course, more than a year, more than the campaign year. That's something that is heard at a lot of canvas kickoffs, a lot of barbershop events. I can't think of one barbershop event that I witnessed where somebody didn't look up and go, "This is the only time I've seen you." But one of the biggest problem of this campaign, in my view, is June 24. That leads to July 21. The vice president did not know that she was going to be running a 107-day presidential campaign. And of course, she had to adopt the staff of Joe Biden, which is, of course, headed by Jen O'Malley Dillon. At that moment,
let me interject. If you remember, when she did find out, she would not grant an interview, not even to MSNBC, CNN. She continued to run away and to avoid any type of news conference. Now, she knew she had a very short period of time, but she refused to give interviews. And then when she did start granting interviews, they were softball interviews, right? No one who would really press her on any issues or any policies. And every time she opened her mouth, she went down in the polls. I'll continue.
Everything is just compacted into this, moment where you don't have the strategy that you'd normally have. I mean, I've seen campaigns for attorney general that were planned 2 years in advance. And this is a presidential campaign that she had to be a part of in 107 days. And to me, that is the reason that you don't have what you were talking about, Roland, with regard to a deliberate strategy. Now, that's not the reason you don't have a GOTV plan, because you can see something is wrong with the GOTV. I can't speak to Georgia, but the number in Virginia looks like it's going to be the lowest since the 1990s in a presidential year. We don't exactly know that yet, but it looks like it will be. So there's something going on with the turnout with regard to Black voters that is hugely problematic. And it does lead to what you were just saying with regard to investing and things like that.
They are leaving the Democratic plantation, and I'm very happy about that. People are waking up, and thank God the veil is slowly being lifted. They are realizing that they have been lied to, they've been bamboozled, they've been gaslighted, and people are sick and tired of the lies and the deception of the Democratic Party. I'll continue.
Like, not only the concerts, which, by the way, I didn't have any problem with, but the lack of GOTV focus. There's something that was off there.
Yes, here's what I keep saying is happening, and I don't understand why these people don't get it. And I'm gonna say it again right now. For every year you get away from the civil rights movement or the black movement. Every year you get away from that movement, African Americans less self-identify as Democrats, which means that that person is like, I ain't a Democrat, I ain't a Republican. Then they go, you're independent? Man, I ain't saying that, I'm black. Which now means you now have to expend more energy, more time, and more money to go after the group that you historically did not have to expend that amount of time, that amount of energy, and that amount of money.
And let me interject again. And so the civil rights era, the people who actually lived through that, they're still largely voting democratically, okay, for the Democrats. But the younger people are looking at, okay, what policies? They're more interested in what do you have to offer? They never experienced Jim Crow and segregation. I'm not old enough to have experienced that either. So you do have to give them more. And the product that you're selling, they're just not buying. I'll continue.
And so the problem is you had this white woman, Jen O'Malley Dillon, with no cultural competency,
right,
who was sitting there, who didn't.
Notice they throw the white woman under the bus. Again, they are still, so they're never going to win another election in America. It's the economy, stupid, and the migrant crisis. America spoke loudly and clearly, but listen to their excuses.
Not understand what was happening out here when people like me were literally saying it every single day. It was there in the data. It's in the conversations. So you had black folks who were sitting here like, I might choose the couch. The couch was real. When did we start saying the couch was real? In 2023.
Right.
So, but when you run this campaign of, oh yeah, well, we only gonna do, we're gonna throw it a little bit over here. No. And then what did I also kept saying? I kept saying on the show, your runway is getting shorter. It's getting shorter. If you fly on a plane and you like, shit, come on, pull up, get the maximum energy, pull up, because I gotta clear the trees. Runway was getting shorter. And so as they kept BSing along, guess what? Runway getting shorter. So now you were losing your informative education and enlightenment stage. You already now into registration voting stage. So now you're trying to play catch up and, oh, damn, how do I now communicate with folks? And the thing here, Reese, and I got no problem saying it, they weren't listening to black people. Black people were telling them, if I'm on a campaign and I'm looking, this is real basic. If I'm looking at a campaign and I gotta win Wisconsin, I gotta have 70% black turnout in Milwaukee. Right. And I've got to, and I know I gotta do elsewhere. Here's what they miss, Reese. They miss that white people increased their turnout. That's what they missed. Trump did better in Milwaukee this time than 20. He did better in Detroit, 13,000 votes in Detroit compared to 2020, but that's still an increase. You have to offset that somewhere. And so again, what you're dealing with here, and this is what the James Carvilles and the David Axelrods and all these people, they don't want to deal with. They don't want to deal with, Reese, white Democratic strategists who don't understand that they have no cultural competency and know how to appeal to a changing multiracial electorate. If you
They just listen to I can't with Roland. They're still not admitting to why they really lost, but okay, we know why. Okay, so this young lady is talking, but again, folks, the Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. They lost this election. Initially, Trump, if you go back and look at some of my older videos, it's not like Trump was like, oh, I had a concerted effort. Oh, I'm going to reach out to the Black community. It was everything that the Democrats were doing and their horrible policies. Newsflash: Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all Americans suffered under Democratic rule. And let's just be real, people. Joe Biden was a figurehead. We know that Barack Obama was behind the scenes running the show. Why do you think he remained in Washington? Now that Trump has won, he's gone back to Martha's Vineyard. So people need to wake up and understand what is going on. And I don't have her. She didn't say anything of substance. So that's why I'm just letting her talk. But yes, go back if you get a chance. Look at some of my older videos. Black Americans have been telling them from the start, they're either voting for Trump or they're voting the couch. Please, if you don't believe me, you can go back. I started this series over a year ago, and we were talking about that. So you knew, but when you went to MSNBC, CNN, all of the other mainstream media outlets, they were in denial and they didn't believe it. They just thought, like they'd always done, go to the Democratic playbook, pull from that, what you always do. Racist, white supremacy, same Democratic playbook. Newsflash: when people are struggling financially and they can't pay rent and other bills, they don't care about what you're saying about racism or white supremacy. They want to know, how can you help me pay rent? How can you help me pay my other bills as well as take care of my family? So, and their unicorn, Barack Obama, usually he's like E.F. Hutton when he talks. Usually people listen, they get on board, they get in line, they get back on code. That did not happen this time. So everything, the Democrats pulled everything out of their bag of tricks that normally works. It did not work this time, and I thank God for it. Anyone who's lived in this country for the past 4 years and can say that you are happy with everything that we had to endure up under this administration, you either have some type of mental illness or you've been living up under a rock, because everyone I converse with has struggled financially. Okay, so that's just where we are with that. And again, the Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. Okay, here we go.
First quarter of 2024, a Trump PAC was running radio commercials they were running commercials on Black radio stations, ripping Democrats on LGBTQ issues and transgender. And I remember saying to several folks in the campaign, y'all better deal with this. I said, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be an issue for you.
And today's Democratic Party is totally different from your parents' and grandparents' Democratic Party. They went too far left. The progressives hijacked that party and took them over. And I was speaking with someone recently, and most people don't care if someone about someone's sexual orientation. They just don't want it shoved down their throats. And they just went too far left and too progressive, letting men in bathrooms with small children, girls, and all of these things. And all they talk about, everything the Democrats discuss, And all of their policies are about death. None of it is about life. And no one wants to hear that crap. And when you put millions of illegals over Americans, that's why you lost. You're still not dealing with the issue. The primary issue was the economy and the billions of dollars you spent on illegals. When there are Americans who needed help with Hurricane Helene, I think the people were told we may be able to give you $750. And then you have to pay that back for people who've lost everything. Go back and check out my videos. I talked about FEMA, and one of their supervisors she said she was directed to stay away from homes with Trump signs because they had some other people who had Trump signs in their yards who were violent. So they're doing all kinds of things to American people.
Blew it off. Late in the campaign, when I asked about those transgender commercials, this is what a high-ranking campaign official said. We don't see any movement in the data that this is having an impact. I said, don't nobody spend $120 million on ads and it ain't having no impact. No, they tested that earlier in the year and they saw the movement and they said, let's go hardcore with it. Let's go all in. Again, this is what happens when you run, when you have arrogant strategists who say, no, we know best, candidate, we got this here. And I'm just gonna go, just like, listen, when they had that rally in Houston, even I went, why y'all going to Houston? I'm from Houston. I love my hometown. But I literally said, why are y'all having a rally in Houston this late in the cycle? Well, when a Senate reproduction.
So again, bad strategy. But again, it didn't matter that they were having a dance party with Beyonce. Yeah, check out that short I did. It's doing well. So it did not matter. People are not listening to these celebrities. That she spent $1 billion and she's $20 million in debt. Check that video out. No one is listening to these celebrities because they're not suffering the way the average American is suffering.
That's right. I said, Houston, Texas you ain't winning Texas. I said, Colin Allred ain't winning Texas. He was horrible with black people all around the state. That's why he lost by 9 points. So I'm like, you spent a massive amount of money on a rally in Houston to center reproductive rights as if that was going to make a difference. That would have made more sense to take that money and literally go hardcore on the ground in Philly, all across Atlanta, in rural Georgia, and Detroit, and East North Carolina. But again, I ain't a white Democratic strategist, but guess what, Greg? It's a whole bunch of white Democratic strategists who created companies that overnight took in millions of dollars. One of them just started 2 years ago. Greg, go ahead with your comment, and then I gotta play y'all. Somebody just posted this wonderful video from Representative Ilhan Omar. Just 3 seconds of loveliness. Go right ahead.
All right, so we're pretty much done, folks. But I did want to share that with you. I mean, it's almost comical that they are still making all of these excuses, and none of them makes any sense. We know why they lost. This election cycle was a referendum from the American people. Again, everyone pretty much, most Americans have access to the internet. And people saw what was going on and how the Democrats were taking care of everyone except for Americans. Okay, all the money they sent to the Ukraine. People aren't stupid. That's why you lost. You put everyone above and before Americans. That's why you lost. And the economy, you did nothing. Kamala kept talking about what she was going to do for the economy if you elected her as your president. Newsflash, we see what she did with $1 billion. How do you blow $1 billion and wind up $20 million in debt? No, ma'am, no, sir. Kudos, America. Thank you for being smart enough to see through that ruse. I'm going to end this recording. If you enjoy this content, please hit the like button. Also, I'll share this video. There are just a few minutes left. If you want to finish watching it in its entirety, I'll share it in the description box up under my video. So thank you again for visiting the Roland's Reviews YouTube channel, and I will see you soon.